In this video, we'll be taking a look at some instances where cops got completely owned by educated citizens and higher authority. So without any further ado, let's get straight into the clips. As soon as this man saw that Officer Cudworth got out of the police vehicle, he knew that there was going to be some problems. It seems like these two go way back, and sure enough, Officer Cudworth was being rather hostile right from the start.
No way I bumped into this guy.
He told him to stop videotaping and to back away because he didn't want him near his gun.
You videotape me. Can you step back?
I'm good, man.
I know, I just don't want you near my gun where you can grab it.
Oh wow, talk about paranoid. Then he went on to talk about the driver of the car. Once he was finished, the man immediately asked for his supervisor.
You too, have a good day.
Get your supervisor.
Okay, I've got one coming.
Officer Cudworth said that the supervisor was on her way. Now, you might think that Officer Cudworth wanted to be cooperative, but then you realize that he put his hand on his gun. The educated citizen called him out on that pretty quickly, and he had no other choice but to let go of his gun and do as he was told. He did protest it, however, saying that the man can't tell him what to do.
Keep your hands where I can see him, man.
Hey, you can't tell me what to do, partner.
Well, obviously he can, and the cop knows it. The educated citizen then reminded the ignorant cop that he works for him.
You work for me, I don't work for you.
But as you can imagine, the cop had a thing or two to say about it, saying that he works for the mayor and not for citizens.
No.
Partner.
No, you're a citizen. I'm here to protect the public.
And who do you work for? The citizens, right?
No, I work for the mayor.
The man then told him to shut his mouth and listen, and the cop called the supervisor again.
Work for the people. Shut your mouth. What makes you think I would reach for your weapon?
Gentleman here is requesting a supervisor.
The educated citizen then asked him what made him think that he was going to reach for his weapon, to which the cop replied that he was being hostile towards him.
What makes you think I would reach for your weapon?
What? Because you're within arm's distance and you're swearing at me. You're a hostile person.
We now realize that this is one of those cops who thinks that freedom of speech is hostile. The man then went on to educate the cop about what free speech really means, but the cop disregarded all of that and started making things up by saying that the man was disturbing the driver he pulled over.
By the way, that's free
If you're not
speech.
hostile,
That's not hostile.
record, it's fine.
Free speech is not hostile. That's
Yes,
free speech.
swearing is not
Okay?
free speech.
And did you
It's
make the
disorderly
weapon?
conduct
No,
that
it's not.
disturbs my person that I got pulled over.
She wasn't disturbed.
Yes, she was.
She asked why I was
On my
recording.
body camera.
The man called him out on his lies and said that she just asked him why he was filming, and the cop had no other choice but to retreat.
She asked why I was
On my
recording.
body camera, she
She
wanted
asked
to know
why I
why
was
you recorded.
recording.
She didn't want you
Okay, that's
recording.
not disturbed.
Yes,
This
that
is
is
free
disturbing.
speech. No, it's
Yeah,
not.
I
There's no
agree.
disorderly conduct. That's number one. Number
Swearing
two.
offends another person. It is
So
disorderly
let's go by your
It's
narrative. It
disorderly
didn't
conduct.
disturb her. The recording disturbed her, right? So the recording is disorderly. I don't think so,
No, the
dude.
recording's fine. I don't have problems.
But you didn't mention
Okay, we're
anything
done.
about the
I'm waiting on
swearing.
a supervisor.
Secondly,
Okay, I'm
you
waiting
made the
for her.
comment
I'm
about
right
reaching
here.
for your weapon before I swore, didn't you?
He got inside his car and drove away after he revealed his name and badge number to the man.
What's your name and badge number, dude? What's your name and badge number?
Officer Cudworth, badge number 315.
Oh, you're that. You get pretty easily triggered. I'm not a dog. I'll wait where I want. But maybe I'll wait there. Maybe I'll wait there.
This is what it looks like when cops get completely owned by educated citizens. After a while, the supervisor arrived and the man explained everything to her. He said to her that he was just filming when Officer Cudworth started making stuff up and accusing him of disorderly conduct.
I said, excuse me, I'm not even near you. He goes, I don't want you trying to grab for my gun.
Okay.
I was like, excuse me, dude? Like, shut up, dude. Shut up. So he goes, excuse me? I go, you're excused. Go back to your job. There's a person here who requires your attention. So she asks him, why is he recording me? And he says, well, that's something you can ask him. No problem with that. He turns around and I says, what makes you think that I would grab for your weapon? He goes, well, you're a hostile person that's swearing. And I was like, that's free speech. He goes, no, that's disorderly. You know, she was upset by that. I said, no, it's not. I can go tell you to f yourself all day. And second of all, she did not complain about my swearing. She complained about my recording.
He then went on to explain that a constitutionally protected activity can't be disorderly before telling her that he wanted to file a complaint against him.
A constitutionally protected activity cannot be disorderly. And secondly, you made that comment about me reaching for your weapon before I even said a word for you. So get your supervisor. I'm not going to play this game with you. He just tried to pull shit the other day with someone else, and he's not going to pull that shit with me. So I want to make a formal complaint against him.
The sergeant, while being very respectful, told him that she was going to check the officer's body camera and take care of that.
Okay, all right. So I'll watch his body cam. All right. So we'll get that taken care of.
The man then went on to complain about Officer Cudworth some
Where
more.
a marker is, if it's properly marked, or he's giving those directives.
correct.
But to just walk by me and say, step back because you're going to reach for my weapon, that's ridiculous.
Okay.
The other guy shared his experience with that particular officer, saying that he's the rudest cop he has ever seen.
Running with him yesterday, too, and he was the rudest,
Yeah, I heard about
nastiest
it.
cop I ever met in my life.
So
He directed traffic. He told
But yeah,
as the crosswalk turned wide, he directed traffic into me. That's just crazy.
The sergeant just listened to them complaining about Officer Cudworth and told them once again that she was going to take care of it. So this guy was accused of filming on private property, and he was trying to explain this to a cop that it wasn't the case.
Yeah, I know, and it's over this road. He says it's private, but there's no sign saying it's not. So I mean, and there's the parking lot's right there, right? That's where you go in to visit somebody, right? So this is open road, right?
The cop seemed very reasonable and said that it was all good as long as he was on a public road.
Right. And see, and I say it on.
You're good as long as you're on
the road. Right.
Roadway, like meaning this roadway.
The guy then pointed out the fact that there weren't any signs there saying authorized personnel or anything like that.
Coming down this road, there needs to be a sign right in here, pardon my language, y'all, right here, saying that authorized personnel only.
Just when you thought that for once cops were going to be respectful of people's rights, some more cops approached and asked for this man's ID as if he was doing something illegal.
You guys have your ID on you.
Oh, no, hold on a second here.
They're fine with you filming and everything.
Thankfully, he had a perfect response for them, and he went on to show them the word ID written on a piece of paper.
Fine with you filming and everything. They just want you to stay on the shoulder of the roadway.
There you go.
You got your name, date, birth.
Yeah, I got my name. Hold on.
How do you spell your first name?
YOURFIRSTNAME. Your first name. There you go. No? You want my name? You want it? No?
So you stay on the shoulder of the roadway.
The expressions on their faces really says it all. They certainly didn't expect that. After a while, the guy asked the cops if there was anyone who was better informed than them.
Okay, is there somebody else that's better informed than you guys coming? Because obviously nobody's informed.
He then went on to explain what he was doing there, but the cops decided to play dumb, and one of them even threatened the guy with arrest.
This is fully accessible, which I believe it is, because there's no signs that say no authorized personnel or only authorized personnel. That is a public parking lot for visitors if they want to go in, and that's the same place you go in if you want to get information on the prison, right? Okay, so, I mean, I want to go up to the door and get my information and leave. That's what I want to do. That's why I'm here.
The prison is going to not want you on the property. Request to leave the property if they want to.
I can understand they can request. That's a request. There's a difference between a request and an actual order.
Okay.
So
they requested us to ask you to.
Okay, then again, you're asking me, so I'm going to deny, and I'm going to stay here and film.
Possibly place under arrest.
For what? For trespass on public property? On a public easement? I don't think so. You know how big of a lawsuit you would get into for that, and your qualified immunity would be gone.
He just laughed it off and dared them to do that under the threat of a lawsuit. He then went on to educate them some more about the law and asked them to recite the First Amendment.
You know what the First Amendment is? Can you recite the First Amendment to me? Do you know your oath? Can you recite your oath to me?
Are you going to move off the property?
I'm not on the property. I'm on public easement. Well, yeah, I can move over here on the edge. That's no problem. Yeah, I ain't gonna block the drive. But I mean, you guys obviously block the drive. So, I mean, look, they're all blocking the drive. Me as a body can't block the drive because I'm not in the way. So this is public.
The cops all got confused looks on their faces, but they probably realized that they got completely owned by this citizen who clearly knows the law better than them. So this man was filming a female officer in public, so she called her male colleague to deal with the man. The cop introduced himself to the man, but other than that, he had no proof of being a police officer at all. He wasn't wearing a badge, and he didn't have any type of ID that would confirm he was indeed a police officer.
Okay.
Hey, we just got a call about you videotaping or...
Who are you?
I'm Officer Bussey, Decatur Police Department.
I don't see a badge. I don't see any type of ID.
I don't see anything that says you're a police officer. That's a police car right there.
After being called out for that, he revealed his badge number but didn't want to say his name. They were soon joined by that female officer who caused it all, and she asked about her paperwork in a rather aggressive tone. She then explained how the man violated her rights, to which he replied that she was on a public sidewalk and reminded her that there's no expectation of privacy in public. He also said that he has a constitutional right to be there. The two officers then laughed for a bit and the female officer went away.
I don't know where you came from. Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's a badge. Okay, what's your badge number? It's 7. Where's your nameplate? I need another identifying marker. No, you don't. Yeah. How are you? Where's my paperwork? You're violating my rights. You're standing on a public sidewalk. You have no expectation of privacy in public. Ask this gentleman. I have a constitutional right to be here. Have a nice day. Thank you. Again.
The male officer then tried to explain to the man how he was making people uncomfortable, to which the man had a perfect response, saying that his rights don't end when their fears begin. It seems like this man was a little too educated for this cop who just stood there with a confused look on his face.
It's a little odd that you're filming the buildings and stuff like that. Okay, you're making the people feel a little uncomfortable. My constitutional rights don't end where their fears begin. Okay. I have a constitutional right to be out here on public property. Yeah.
But if you thought that was bad, just wait till the female officer comes back with an even more aggressive tone. She said something about audio not being legal, but the man put her in her place pretty quickly by saying that filming an officer in public is perfectly legal.
Yeah. Who are you? Who are you? I'm not telling you. Then kick mud. Officer, please get this aggressive citizen away from me. Please get between us both. Yes, she stormed over here barking orders. I can get it. Yeah, please go get it, because there is no IC code for it. No, there isn't. You have no expectation of privacy in public. If you are doing an audio, no expectation of privacy in public. You're already being live streamed to the internet, so it really doesn't matter. That's illegal. Well, if it is. It is illegal. I looked it up. Andrew is filming. So, you know how that stuff works. It is illegal for audio. It's not illegal for video. It is illegal for audio. Okay. Going public without my permission?
A lieutenant was harassing some people who were filming near a crime scene despite the fact that they stayed behind the tape, so one of them had to approach him and teach him a lesson or two. He respected the fact that they wanted to preserve evidence, but he had a problem with this particular lieutenant's attitude towards his friends who were filming him. The man also mentioned that they had already put 2 lieutenants on desk duty and even sent one into early retirement. The cop tried to argue that he was just doing his job, but the man put him in his place immediately by teaching him how to address people with cameras. The cop couldn't stand a chance against this educated citizen, so he just had to stand there in silence. After all, he didn't want to be put in his place by a higher authority because of this man, like his colleagues. So let's hope that he learned his lesson and that he will treat people with respect in the future.
Do you know what a crime scene is for? Do you know what it's for? It's to preserve evidence. You understand that? Now, at least 300 people have walked through here since the alleged crime happened, right? If you were going to preserve evidence, you would have had to have it taped off at that point. I'll tell you right now, you're not going to tape it off. All right? You can do whatever you want. We're going to stay here. As long as we're in it right now, then we're part of it.
We are able to expand the perimeter.
You can expand it. You can do that as you see fit. And we'll stay here because we were in it before you expanded it, which means we're part of it.
But
so go ahead and expand it, but we'll stay here.
If we determine that...
I don't give a... Honestly, man, I don't give a what you determine. I'll determine that the last 2...
Coordinate off back here. Just kind of coordinate off this area right here. Yeah, so go ahead and go all the way
You know about the last 2 lieutenants that we put on desk duty, right? I don't want to be a dick all the time. If you're trying to preserve evidence, if it were my family member, I would want the scene taken care of properly too. I just don't like it when we get pushed out just because it's, because we got cameras, you know what I mean? So when you see me out here, though, by all means, I'll respect anything that should be respected, but, I would want it investigated right if it was my family too.
Appreciate that.
All right. But
anyway, so.
Yeah, we're going to have problems still though, aren't we? You and I? I mean, we put Hunt on desk duty, and we got what was the other dude's name? We pushed him into early retirement. I don't know how long you've been here. I don't know if we trained you.
I mean, if That's what you're looking for?
No, we're just looking for you to do what's right. But if you're going to have a bad attitude about it, right now I don't like the attitude you're throwing at me. You understand?
I don't have a bad attitude.
Okay.
I'm just trying to do my job.
All right. Well, just make sure you keep that attitude under control when you're talking to me. Next time I come out, I expect not to see you talking to my boys like that, all right? All right? We understood that, all right?
You understand that I have a job to do.
You understand that you're going to do your job right. I'm going to put you on desk duty, right?
I'm gonna do my job
You're
right.
not going to bully people out of here that are recording you. I saw you do it 3 or 4 times, all right? And you may be able to get away with it with them. You aren't going to get away with it with me. I'll put your ass on desk duty. You're going to talk to them respectfully. Yes, sir. No, sir. Yes, please. No, please. Understand?
Sure.
All right. No more.
A female officer pulled over a man and demanded to see his ID. He protested by saying that he didn't do anything wrong and that he wasn't required to give her his ID. He then asked her to tell him what crime he had committed. She obviously didn't know how to articulate a crime, and the man completely owned her because of that. We learned that she called a sergeant because she was concerned about her safety. The man called her out on that, pointing out that she wasn't behaving like a person that was concerned for their safety. The next thing you know, the man was teaching this female officer about the Fifth Amendment because she obviously never heard of it. After he was done with that, she actually confirmed that he hadn't committed any crime, but that he still needed to show her his ID because of her own safety. Then she said that she stopped him just to have a conversation and mentioned that her radar was going off.
What did I do wrong?
I would like to identify.
I do not have to. I have not committed a crime. What was my crime? Please tell me the charge that I committed.
Sarge, 214. Can you come to my 20?
Please tell me the crime that I committed. Please tell me what crime I committed. Or what you're charged me with. So then I do not have to give you my ID or identify myself because I have not committed a crime. No, I do not. I have not committed a crime and I'm not under arrest. It states it in the law.
And you're not even receptive.
The fact is that you're pulling me over to have a conversation and now you're having your sergeant come out because I won't identify myself for your safety. But obviously if you had a concern for your safety, you would be either holding me at gunpoint or you wouldn't have approached my window. You would have backed up and went to your vehicle by now and waited for your supervisor if you were really that concerned for your safety. So explain to me how it is that you're still concerned for your safety if you're still standing here having a conversation with me.
What conversation?
Okay, ma'am, I'm recording for my own safety. The speed limit is 65. I was going 66 and you're on my ass and then you tailgate me and then you go faster than me. You're an officer of the law. The speed limit states that it's 65. So you are not allowed to go past that speed limit, period. What makes you think that just because you're an officer that you can go... What did I do wrong?
I would like to identify.
I do not have to. I have not committed a crime. What was my crime? Please tell me the charge that I committed.
Sarge, 214. Can you come to my 20?
Please tell me the crime that I committed.
I wanted to have a proper conversation with you to let you know that I can't catch people that are doing 80.
Where does it state in the law that you're allowed to go over the speed limit unless it's an emergency? Please tell me the NRS code that states that, or the DMV codes and traffic laws that state that you can do that.
Okay, but look.
No, please say that to me. I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment right. Do you know what my Fifth Amendment right is?
No, I don't. Tell me.
Okay, you're an officer of the law. Fifth Amendment right states that when I invoke that, whatever charge or crime you're committing me of, you have to go ahead and state that and show it to me therein.
Okay.
So please tell me the NRS code that states that you're allowed to go faster than 65 unless it is an emergency.
Trying to enforce public safety because my radar was flashing 75, 78, 79. So somebody up there is speeding. And 9 times out of 10 when they're speeding, they're making unsafe lane changes, right?
Okay, you were way behind me, ma'am. I saw you long ago, and you came really quick up on me. And
maybe
kept going fast.
Maybe because you were doing my cruise control set at 70.
Ma'am, I have a breathalyzer, okay? It records everything. Okay, so it records my speed. I stay at 65, I use my cruise control.
Okay, so I'm glad that you do your speed limit and all that, but I'm just trying to let you know that my radar is flashing 78.
Okay. So again, tell me please.
You can get me from 147.
Please tell me what crime I committed, or what you're charging me with. So then I do not have to give you my ID or identify myself because I have not committed a crime. No, because I have not committed a crime. No, I do not. I have not committed a crime, and I'm not under arrest. It states it in the law. It's my constitutional right.
For my safety, if I asked you, first off, I just wanted to have a conversation with you, letting you know. Instead of having a conversation at 65 mile an hour, that my radar was flashing, I was trying to catch somebody up there, right? Okay? That's my God-given right to protect the safety of the community. When somebody's doing 80 up there, They're normally zigzagging out of traffic. That makes it unsafe for a 92-year-old grandma. And I don't like that because my mother drives these roads, okay? And if I can't get around you, because there was a silver vehicle over here in front of me in the HOV lane.
Because they were going the speed limit.
Perhaps. Right, but so
if someone was going 70 and your radar was going off, they obviously would have went past me and you would have been able to see that. But you were behind me for quite a bit. So please explain to me how it is that if your radar went off past 70 and no one's passing me, that you detected that.
Well, I'm just detected. My radar detected.
That's okay, fine. Your equipment, your radar device detected.
The man kept lecturing her, which is why she changed the subject and asked him if he was on parole or probation. After protesting for a bit, he answered that he wasn't and just continued to educate her.
Are you on paper?
Am I on paper?
Yeah.
As far as what, parole or probation?
Uh-huh.
I do not have to identify myself. I don't. I have not committed a crime.
I don't think you have any Fourth Amendment rights if you're on paper.
I don't have to disclose anything, and if you really want to go down that road, no, I'm not on probation or parole. Just to satisfy your need to go ahead and pry information from me. I have the right to drive on public roadways in the U.S. without any infringement upon me or a papers check.
I just wanted to have a conversation with you.
And I'm just letting you know that you're an officer of the law and you're supposed to uphold it. So you shouldn't be speeding or tailgating. If I tailgated you, you would have pulled me over immediately.
But you had no idea what I was doing.
If you really had an emergency, the second you got around me, you would have took off to go get that person, but you didn't.
No, because I felt like I owed you an explanation.
Okay, what's more important, giving me an explanation or protecting the roads and safety as you're so stating you're trying to uphold?
Oh, and by the way, Van Ellen.
That's fine.
And my P number is 483 for the record.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, but we're just waiting on Sergeant.
No, that's fine. Sergeant can come out. Not a problem.
So he can give you some further education.
Further education, ma'am. I've been researching law and all the rights that I have, and the thing is that officers don't like it when people know the law.
This is the tragedy. Because I just wanted to give you an explanation rather than to do it at 65 mile an hour.
Then that was your choice to do it.
And you're not even receptive.
The fact is that you're pulling me over to have a conversation, and now you're having your sergeant come out because I won't identify myself for your safety. But obviously, if you had a concern for your safety, you would be either holding me at gunpoint or you wouldn't have approached my window. You would have backed up and went to your vehicle by now and waited for your supervisor if you were really that concerned for your safety. So explain to me how it is that you're still concerned for your safety if you're still standing here having a conversation with me. And I'm being very eloquent, I'm not cursing, I'm not being rude. I'm just stating my right.
After some time, a sergeant arrived and the man started complaining about that female officer. He had a problem with her tailgating him and going over the speed limit. He also reminded him that the cops aren't supposed to go over the speed limit unless it's an emergency. The sergeant tried to defend the officer and said that the man had to at least provide his name to her, but the man disagreed with that. And he also said that he was going to file a complaint against that female officer because the sergeant didn't want to do anything about it.
Hello, Sergeant Kelly, Highway Patrol. How are you doing today?
I've been better. I'm a little bit upset at the fact that your officer is stating the claims that she's stating. It's very unprofessional and upsetting that an officer of the law can't give me the NRS code that apparently I'm violating, but then she tells me I have not committed a crime or a charge, so I do not have to identify myself. And if she really felt that concerned for her safety, she would have stepped away from my window and she would have backed up and waited until you, her supervisor, came to assess the situation. Obviously, she's still standing there having a full conversation with me for 8 minutes. She obviously does not have a concern for her safety. She just wants to do a papers check because I know when you run the ID, it goes into the database and it shows that I had an interaction with law enforcement. And I'm not having that on my record, so I do not have to declare my identity because I have not committed a crime. I'm not under arrest.
You're right. You're not under arrest at the moment, but you were detained.
She never stated that, officer.
All right. Anytime an emergency vehicle stops you, you are detained. Okay, just so you know, all right? You may not be under arrest, but you are detained at that moment.
But I still do not have to present my ID. I still don't have to present my ID.
Technically, by law, you don't have to present your ID.
Thank you for stating that.
But by law, you do have to provide your name.
No, I do not.
Okay,
That's preventing identity. That's giving it.
I'm not going to argue with you. After speaking with her, you're free to go at the moment.
Okay.
But for future reference, you do have to state your name.
Okay, and for future reference, you need to advise your officer that just because she's a law enforcement official, if I had tailgated her the way she tailgated me, you guys would have pulled me over in a heartbeat.
I'm not going to argue. I wasn't there. I didn't see that.
Okay.
After speaking with her, you're free to go.
Could I have your badge number, please?
214.
Okay, I'll be making a formal complaint since you do not want to go ahead and reprimand your officer for the fact that she was driving unsafely.
What I do with my officer is a personnel matter, which is not public record. Just so you know.
And like I said, I will go to your superiors, but thank you. I know I'm free to go. I'm just stating for the record that I will be making a formal complaint because you refuse to go ahead and let your officer know that she does not have the authority to tailgate or to speed unless it is an emergency.
Okay, I'm not going to debate any of that with
That's fine. I'll go on my merry way. You have a nice day, officer.
Use the shoulder here to get up to speed, merge over once clear. Just be careful, okay?
Yep.